Honored to be here to hear all of the inspiring speakers. We actually it's very hard to follow Sander, so hopefully you're going to enjoy this. We saw a lot of examples that he showed of this very impressive technology that's honestly completely changed my career and my life. Sometimes it's a bit of a struggle. There's so much going on, but it is amazing. I want to show you, again, from Runway ML. If you see this logo here, it was made on the platform. Sander also shared a couple of videos there. You can go there. You can try it for free. You can basically put prompts in and create videos from them. 4 seconds, you have around 100 seconds. Give it a go. It's quite an interesting platform. I didn't make this video. It's an artist that made it. They prompted Runway ML with a poem called Dogfish by Mary Oliver. And I just want to show you how this looks.
Relaxed and beautiful thing, kept flickering in with the tide and looking around. Black as a fisherman's boot with a white belly. If you asked for a picture, I would have to draw a smile.
I mean, it kind of evokes emotion, right? It understands what a smile is. Like, what can these models not do, right? They're amazing. They're so disruptive. I find them very impressive. It's an explosion. It's a discovery. It's something new. So it's very easy to think that these models can do anything. But I'm here to tell you that actually they are not, and there's a lot of myths around them that I want to break with you today. So what we're going to be breaking today is not a mirror, like what happened yesterday. We're going to be breaking some Gen AI myths, and we're going to be going through the first one, which is a big one, superintelligence. So maybe you already saw this example. It's quite a nice one to show to especially a big crowd like you. This was an experiment that happened, if I'm not mistaken, 6 or 7 months ago with DALL-E 3, where someone just prompted the model with salmon swimming upstream. So you would expect something like this to come up, right? It's salmon, it's fish. But actually, the model came up with this. And so, feel bad for these salmons, actually. But this makes sense when you think about it, because there's so much data on the internet. This is the estimated size. These are crazy numbers. I'm going to be saying crazy numbers. I don't even understand them. I'm only a mere human. But the internet has an estimate size of 120 zettabytes. And the OpenAI data is somewhere around here, maybe even smaller. It's just an approximation of how much it is. And actually, DALL-E 3 and ChatGPT are trained on only this small amount. And what happens is, in the previous example, is that most of the pictures of salmon on the internet come from Instagram, right? So people caption it with, oh, I'm enjoying some nice salmon. And these pictures are automatically labeled with salmon. So the model is like, okay, a salmon is a salmon fillet. That's how the model thinks. So it's very easy for us to get fooled and think that these models can understand as much as we do and that they're knowledge models. But if you take anything from this presentation, this is what you should take away, that they are not, and that they really are trained on also a small subset of data. And we will be talking about the problems around even that small subset a bit later. Next to this plain wrongness in the model and giving wrong information, we also have these examples. So this is a nice example by Robert Engels that he showed in one of his talks that I stole. But if you prompt the model with, I have an 8-liter bucket and a 4-liter bucket, I have to measure 4 liters of water, the model is going to give you such an elaborate answer to such a simple question. But just fill the 4-liter bucket with, I mean, it's common sense, we understand it. But the model is trained on technical documentation, so it over-explains stuff. And even if you just swap this, it gives you a bit of a more concrete answer. But it's still too long, honestly. Like, it's common sense. And this is what we need to understand here, that these models actually don't understand this common sense context as they're trained right now. And also this is another research that came up recently. It's the reverse curse. Basically, if an LLM is trained on A is B, it doesn't learn that B is A. So we have an example here of Olaf Scholz. If you train the model on Olaf Scholz, was the 9th chancellor of Germany, it will not automatically be able to answer the question, who was the 9th Chancellor of Germany? It just doesn't give you Olaf anywhere in the answers. So these are the things we need to be thinking about. And as a data scientist, as a person that is working with AI a lot, we see this with traditional AI, generative AI, with ADA, synthetic data, GANs, etc. Data is the core of the problem, of the solution, of everything. And this is what we always need to keep in mind. I want to give you a little bit of just a sneak peek into how these models work. So I have here basically a very, very simplified way of how we take the text data from documents and we map it into embedding spaces. So don't be scared. It's just basically taking words and clustering them. So we have different topics. So here we have colors. Up there we have electricity, light, etc. Then we have some natural things like sky, sun, cloud, and emotions. And when the model is prompted with a simple question of what color is the sky, it is like, okay, sky, and then it goes to color. So it can actually see blue, clear, usually these are like different likeliness of the words to be the next one in sequence. This is how these models think. They take a look at these topics, at these spaces, and then they map the words together. So it's basically, like Irun said yesterday, very advanced statistics. These models are probabilistic. They will give you the next word in sequence that's most likely based on the training data that was mapped over there. So then it's going to just say the sky is blue. And someone from Vint, I don't know who exactly said it, maybe you don't want to say it, said that these models are just stochastic parrots because of that. They just repeat what they've seen in the data, and that is definitely true. So what I really want to say for this myth busted. The models are not super intelligent. We know how they think. They learn from data. We need to have a responsible data practice, and we need to basically start always with the data and work from there. If we go to the next one, which is a big one right now, and also was mentioned yesterday, bigger is better, a case for degrowth. These models are huge. Again, I'm going to say some ludicrous numbers. We have GPT-2, which has 1.2 billion parameters, GPT 3.5, 175 billion, GPT-4 has 1.76 trillion. So where are we going to go with GPT-5? Well, if you ask Gary Kasparov, he actually quoted a Google engineer saying that data trumps everything. So if you go from 10,000 training examples to 10 billion, it's going to fix everything. Well, I have to say I don't agree, and let's then dig a bit more into the past to get to the person I agree with, Socrates, of course. Socrates said, in the true spirit of quality engineering, it's not the size of a thing, but the quality that matters. So we really need to understand that in terms of these models, you can throw as much data as you want at them, but if there's no context and if data is not correct, they're not going to learn anything new from it. So if you throw more data, it doesn't fix the problem. Why is that? Because these models are actually part of an ecosystem or a system that we have transformer-based models that are actually LLMs. We have embedding models that I mentioned before that map those words into that embedding space. We have the data, the system. We have the output that also needs to be checked for quality. And very, very important, we have the people that interact with it, that make it. These models are made by people, always remember that. And all of these parts need to be of high enough quality for these models to be well-performant. And this is a very interesting design choice, but what we see right now in research is that we have models that are smaller. So we have 1.5 with 1.3 billion parameters that actually is it's not as good as GPT-4 because that is just a black box for now. We don't know what exactly and how exactly these parts work together. But this model is quite well performant. We also have Mistral 7B. And these models actually show that companies of smaller size can also afford to have models like this. They're open source. If you go on GitHub, you will find them. You can use them, and you can ask your data science team to play around and see what the actual performance is. If you add contextual data of your company next to this, wonders happen. So bigger is not exactly better in these terms. And we have cases in research to support that. Let's talk about empathy, the next myth. A lot of people think these models are very empathetic and sometimes even better than people. And there was research in April of this year where actually there was a study where there were real-world health questions asked to ChatGPT, and responses were preferred by a panel of licensed healthcare professionals 79% of the time when compared to a human. They were deemed more of higher quality and more empathetic. So what's actually going on there? Well, it's again data. So in the data, we have a couple of, this is just, again, I'm simplifying things. There's many more data sets online, if we remember the crazy numbers from before. But these are two data sets that I find very interesting. The empathy data set with labels for different emotions. Afraid, different situations that are mapped to these emotions. Speakers and listeners, how they interact with each other. Here we have a common sense dialogue, very interesting. And here we have Tracy perform from her function, a specific prompt or situation, and then Tracy and her friend talking about this and just giving advice, basically. And this is what these models take a look at, and then they can give you an empathetic response. But it's not real empathy, it's the illusion of empathy. And this was said by Michiel, I really like this, the illusion of empathy through unlimited patience. Very nice. It resonates very well. If you think about it, these models cannot get annoyed. They're basically programmed not to get annoyed at you. You can be as stupid as you want. And if you speak to a human, sometimes we're overworked. We know how this goes. We just don't have enough energy. We have to take care of ourselves. And this is what we have with these models. It's just an illusion of empathy, not the actual empathetic understanding. I will quickly go through job displacement because I think this is a big thing that everyone's talking about. And I always use this slide from Vint to showcase that this happened in the past before with the calculator. Can you imagine your life without a calculator right now? It's insane. Like, who would sit and do like advanced calculus just for fun on a piece of paper? So also math teachers protested against calculator use when it came out. Right now, we, of course, see the Writers Guild on strike. We see Hollywood on strike. I actually will exercise my empathy and compassion here. I understand, because people are afraid that their jobs are going to be disrupted forever, because this technology is actually very, very impressive. And we can also see in different types of industries a big application of it and a big prosperity for it to replace low-cost knowledge work. But it's not the AI that will replace you, it's an actual person that's using AI. So that's why I also like Sander's last point. Try it, infuse it, see how you can go back and forth with it, see how we can learn from it. And then you will see actually that these models can help you with the efficiency and maybe even help you with some very mundane tasks that you don't want to do. Not answering questions in a panel, though. That's what happened yesterday. I really like that as well. So that is for the job displacement part. And this is the final myth I want to break with you, the objectivity and truthfulness myth. I hold this very close to heart. These models are sometimes deemed by people as more objective than humans, and that they can also give you an objective truth. But it's not really like that. And there's a research that came out very recently, a couple of days ago, by Everything AI. That's their GitHub name. They did a couple of rounds of experiments with Midjourney about stereotypes and culture. They wanted to just see if these models perpetuate it. They did it on different types of cultures, on the ways the houses look, streets, food, and they found staggering results. So here, for example, we have New Delhi streets. They're always very clustered and polluted. 100% of the images that they prompted with this prompt came out like this. If you ask the model, what does an Indian person look like? 97% of the results, man. Again, 80% of Indian people identify or represent themselves as Hindu, but they do have 13% of Muslim population. Nowhere to be found in these examples, or actually in the output. How many women were found? 2. 100 generated images, 2 women. There's only one here. I had to crop the picture, but you get the point. And also, very interesting thing, if you can see it from the table, a Native American. Because in literature, from historical data, Indian Native American still has a bit of an overlap. So this is what we got, and there was also Native American culture infused with the Indian culture as well in some of the images. With the cultures that were prompted with person, almost every single culture gave out only men, or maybe just a couple of women in the result, except for one culture. That was US. It was almost everything was a woman. 97% of the results were a woman. Blonde hair, blue eyes, with an American flag in the back, a couple of men. And also, when we think about this, this also makes sense. There's an overrepresentation of women in American media, especially with also YouTubers and news anchors, etc. So it's really biased in the data set. There's also one scary picture in here as well, looking back at us. A masked individual with an American flag mask, staring into our soul, maybe telling us something very important when we are handling this type of technology, that we also need to break the cycle of stereotypes, break the cycle of over-reliance on technology. And I want to show you a couple of videos I actually generated with Runway ML, to just get my point across. We will be using this technology for years to come. It's going to disrupt the way we work. It's already starting to do that. We need to embrace it, and we need to also, through the embracing of this culture, think with the increased efficiency we get from these models, because they will definitely replace very manual tasks that we also don't want to do as humans. We need to ask ourselves deep down, what do we actually bring here that's of value? How can we take these technologies forward to bring good? And as leaders here, I actually don't care if you're a leader, my grandma, my mom, my dad, everyone needs to think like this. How do we make the world a better place with these sort of technologies? Degrowth, whatever you want to call it, we need to think in those terms. Another point I want to make here regarding the way we deliver these solutions, as a butterfly flaps its wings at one part of the forest and then an earthquake happens on the other end of the world, also a bad decision very early in the development of these models can bear terrifying consequences when the user is using them. We as technical people, you as leaders, we need to make sure that this doesn't happen through applying quality engineering to these models. Through thinking in terms of these models as systems, as like holistic ecosystems that interact with users. And finally, we need to take a closer look at ourselves here, and I want to quote Menno from yesterday. Take the technology pill, but wash it down with humanity. Thank you.